Yuri gone. Now I have to forgive me for this one, because I am so excited to share this little fact with you all. Okay, so the other day I was reading this scientific paper about why it rains diamonds, bigger than grizzly bears on some planets. And it made me think about how amazing our planet is. And that's kind of the whole point of this series. So in honor of that, here's a little fun fact about Earth and why ecosystems matter. Earth is home to the largest living structure on the planet. And no, I'm not talking about the Great Barrier Reef or the Amazon rainforest or the largest whale. I'm talking about something way bigger than all of those things combined. It's bigger than all of humanity. Every single human on the planet combined. This is the world's biggest living structure. It's bigger than all of us, and it's everywhere. It's the mycelium network. Mycelium is the root structure of fungi. Sort of like how leaves are the roots of plants, you may have seen these white, stringy filaments growing out of mushrooms. Those are the beginnings of the mycelium. And if you were to pull one of those out of the ground, you would find that it is connected to a vast underground network. Fungi send their thread-like structures out into the soil, and they wrap around plant roots and connect with each other. This creates this spongy structure that allows water and nutrients to move through it. Now, the reason that this is so incredible is that it happens everywhere. Mycelium networks can be found at the poles and the tropics, on every continent, in deserts and rainforests, even under the sea. There isn't an ecosystem on the planet where you wouldn't find fun. And all of these mycelia networks are interconnected. What? Yes. They all connect with each other. Some scientists estimate that there are over 200 trillion connections between mycelia threads, and that those connections carry more information than all of the world as computers combined. The word fungus is actually Latin for food, and indeed, the mycelium network is a great source of nutrition for a lot of organisms, including termites, ants, beetles, bacteria, and even other fungi. These fungi send out special structures called fruiting bodies to bear spores, which are like little seeds. When the spores land on the right kind of food, they grow into new mycelium. Some of these networks have been around for thousands of years, and we're just now beginning to understand what they do. So let's say there's a tree that falls down in a forest. When that tree falls, it creates a gap in the canopy and allows more light to reach the forest floor. In response to that change, plants adapted to living in the shade die off and are replaced by sun-loving plants. Their seeds were already in the forest floor, just waiting for the right conditions to grow. As the community of organisms changes, the kinds of nutrients available to the ecosystem also change. Less nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are left behind in the leaf litter, and more carbon is added to the soil. All of these changes affect the types of fungi that can survive in the forest. If it's a really big change, it might take decades for the fungal community to stabilize again. But eventually, the mycelium network senses these changes and adjusts accordingly. For example, when a tree dies and begins to decompose, the mycelium network releases enzymes to break down the tough compounds in the wood. These enzymes travel from the fungi into the dead tree and break it down into simpler molecules like sugars and amino acids. The mycelium then absorbs these molecules and uses them for food. Eventually, the entire forest floor is covered in a rich, dark layer of decomposed material called humus. That humus provides the perfect conditions for the next generation of plants to grow. And the circle of life continues. In one Canadian forest, scientists found that there was a positive correlation between the amount of humus in the soil and the number of species of trees growing in that forest. More humus meant more diversity. They also found that there were different kinds of fungal communities associated with different kinds of trees. For example, one type of spruce tree was associated with a unique community of fungi that could break down its particular oils. This meant that there was more nutrient recycling and more growth and it helped the spruce trees thrive. Not only does the mycelium help break down organic matter, but it also helps hold the soil together. Without the binding power of fungi, many ecosystems would simply fall apart. Take the Loess Plateau in China as an example. Over millions of years, wind-blown dust has created a thick layer of fertile soil on top of bare rock. But that soil is so loose that it's basically just an active layer of sand dunes. On the Loess Plateau, the topsoil moves around easily, which means that important nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus are lost to erosion. This has led to widespread poverty among the people who live there because the soil coins support agriculture. But over the last few decades, the Chinese government has been working hard to combat erosion on the plateau. One of their strategies is to build terraces into the hillsides to keep the soil from washing away. They've also encouraged farmers to grow deep-rooted crops like alfalfa and Chinese medicinal herbs because the roots of these plants help stabilize the soil. They've also been planting trees all over the plateau. And once those trees grow up, their roots will help hold everything together. But the most important thing they've done is reintroduce native fungi to the area by growing forests full of native trees. They're also growing a native mycelium network. The fungi spread out their roots through the soil and bind the sand grains together. The result is a strong, fertile soil that can support agriculture and prevent erosion. Thanks to the efforts of the Chinese government, the Loess Plateau is now the world's largest artificial forest. And by stabilizing the soil, they've lifted over 1 million people out of poverty. When we think of ecosystems, we often focus on the charismatic megafauna, the plants and animals that we love. But the truth is that ecosystems are carried on the backs of the humble and unassuming organisms like fungi. Even though we may not see them, fungi are crucial for life on Earth. They break down dead stuff and recycle nutrients back into the ecosystem. They form mutually beneficial relationships with plants, help keep soils in place, and protect us from harmful microbes. The stability of an ecosystem depends on the balance of all the parts, the big and the small. Fungi are one of the most important parts of that balance, and that is why ecosystems matter. Thank you for joining me for another episode of this series. I hope you learned something new and got a little bit more excited about the amazing systems that surround us all. If you want to learn more about the natural world, you can check out the additional resources. And if you want to learn more about how to help protect these wonderful ecosystems, you can visit the website below. We'll see you next time!